I don't know. I guess I'm going to have to fix my Skype because it's definitely hosed up, so I apologize about that. Let me drag Matty in if I can get a hold of him. And thank you guys for calling in. Just hang loose for a second, okay, while I get this organized and see if I can't get a hold of him. I'm sure you guys can hear me right now. That is so weird. Hey, Matty?
Hi, I'm here.
Oh, my God. Where are you?
I'm so sorry. I got a flat tire, and I'm coming back from Home Depot deep in the valley, so you have to go.
Oh, my goodness. So you're actually out on a cell phone or something?
I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you fine, and thanks for calling in. Yeah, we were kind of just taking open calls, and then the server got all hosed up. So anyways, thanks everybody for listening, and I apologize for the turbulence with the studio. Anyways, so how are you besides the flat tire?
Oh, things are great. I can't complain. Everything is going the right direction.
Okay, well, I didn't even introduce you formally because I wasn't sure. I figured you were at large, but I knew it was something that obviously you had to take care of because you're pretty reliable. So I'm going to read your introduction. How's your battery on your phone? Are you good?
I think I'm pretty good.
Okay, excellent. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and read your intro. And once again, thank you guys for calling in. And if you want to email me your questions at medusastorm001@gmail.com, I can respond also. And I might open the lines later, but we're having problems with the server with the answering questions. So anyways, but let me read you Matty's background. It's Matty Beckerman has made his directorial debut with Alien Abduction, a sci-fi thriller based on the legend of the Brown Mountain Lights. This film was released in theaters in April of this year. Previously, Beckerman was the founder and CEO of Natural Selection, a privately held equity-backed motion picture company based in Los Angeles. He has executive produced The Experiment. Prior to Natural Selection, Mr. Beckerman served as the general manager of Bulletproof Recording Company, Incorporated, a leading film soundtrack and music supervision company. He also founded Now or Never Records, Incorporated, an independent record label with distribution through Warner Brothers and ADA. The label signed over 25 acts that toured worldwide, and Beckerman directed several music videos all over the country for his acts. He successfully sold the company in 2003 to the leading German multinational entertainment company, Century Media, distributed by EMI. Mr. Beckerman attended the A.B. Freeman School of Business at Tulane University, where he obtained his bachelor's degree in management and information systems with a minor in photography. He is a member of the Directors Guild of America. His websites are alienabductionfilm.com and mattybeckerman.com. And please welcome Matty to the show this evening. Okay, so you have a flat, so I know that much.
Yes.
How'd you manage that?
I am in the midst of construction on my house, so every time I can drive to Home Depot, and I must have gotten a nail in the parking lot, but I had to wait around for at least an hour for the AAA guys to come. So I apologize for my tardiness, but I'm here.
Well, thank you so much. And I appreciate you calling in the midst of getting your tire changed. So are you actually having somebody change it right now?
He just changed it, and I'm good now.
Oh, great. So are you on the road?
I am.
Excellent. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you calling in. And so let's talk a little bit about your movie. I know you were on my other show last week on Hyperspace on Dark Matter Radio Network, but for those who don't know much about what's going on with you, let's talk about Alien Abduction, and let's talk about how you got involved in that film.
Yeah, so the movie is about the Brown Mountain Lights, which is a real phenomenon in North Carolina. And for over 800 years, it dates back to the Cherokee and Catawba Native Americans who have seen these huge orbs, and people tend to disappear when they see them. And the folklore goes back forever. The first known encounter was with George Washington's men, the first written encounter. And, the movie takes place, and we shot the whole thing right where the real lights are seen, right where the actual abductions have taken place for centuries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty fascinating. And also, you grew up in this area, right?
Yeah, my grandparents and my family have been there since the 1970s. And I had always heard the stories, the folklore of the Brown Mountain Lights. And then, I had heard a couple people, one guy in particular that I was working with there, told me a story about being abducted multiple times over and over. And I was very skeptical. I didn't really believe him. And then I started hearing these stories from credible sources, like police officers and school teachers and people who would normally, never want to talk about these things. It affected them deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And my skepticism quickly turned around.
Mm-hmm.
And then the real thing that threw me over the ledge was I witnessed the lights myself. My wife, myself, and a friend of ours who's a shaman actually saw the Brown Mountain Lights full on, and we witnessed the entire event right in front of us, and I took pictures of it, and I put them up on my site. If you take a look at mattybeckerman.com, there's a blog section, and right there are pictures of all the Brown Mountain Lights we saw that night, and just a massive amount of orbs surrounding us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I checked those out. That's pretty incredible, actually. Yeah, and we talked a little bit prior, on the last show about how you felt around this and the energetic associated with it. I wonder if you could describe for our listeners what it really felt like when you were there and witnessing these lights.
It was beautiful. It was a magical experience. I have to say, I felt connected to the earth. I felt connected to something a bit larger than myself. And, some people do describe this when they go to Brown Mountain. So it's not just abductions and craziness, but there is some sort of energy vortex that's there that people connect with. And that's what we were really connecting with that night.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And I do believe it does have a lot to do with where you're at on a spiritual level in order to receive the the energetic signature on a higher frequency, opposed to some people who have more fear-based issues. Now, for those people who have had situations that are kind of negative, can you elaborate a little bit on some of the things that people went through that weren't so positive?
Yeah, it depends how you take this. People being abducted, has happened for centuries, and it's either malevolent or benevolent. If you take an abduction as the benevolent side of the alien culture, you can generally be happy with the outcome of it. But there is the terrifying side of it, which is the Travis Walton-esque fire in the sky, classic gray, where they're studying you, and both seem to be occurring in the area of Brown Mountain.
Mm-hmm. They certainly do. And your film is pretty much, it's a dramatization, and it's more, would you say it's a sci-fi thriller, but it's based more, it's a little more scary, isn't it?
It is. It's really based on the malevolent side of things, which is what, most of Hollywood really wants to see.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why our movie is sold so well, because it is a pretty scary film.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to kind of skew it for mainstream, I suppose. And it is doing well, isn't it?
Yeah, we've done just amazing with it. And the movie was top number 2 on iTunes for a good 2 months. We were beating out like Paranormal Activity and things like that. So
excellent.
I guess people love their sci-fi.
Oh, they do. Yeah, that's very, very true. And there's a similar thread. There's actually some truth behind the scenes. Of course, this is dramatized, but there is a history behind the Brown Mountain, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, if you go and Google it, it's there. It's been there for centuries. There's folk songs written about it,
mm-hmm.
About the disappearances and about people going missing on the mountains.
Right.
And it's really embraced by the community there too. They know this happened. They have signs on the sides of all the major highways to say this is where you come and see the Brown Mountain Lights.
That's really wild. And and so far as the vanishings go, I know they used to have a lot of people disappear in the early days, but what's been going on as of recent? Are they still having people missing?
They go missing, but not for long. They actually show back up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and the people who have had this happen to them say they're experiencing time loss. There's one woman who is in the opening of the film. So the opening of the movie is actually a documentary style, where I interview all the local people and get their background and history. And one of the stories is from a woman who had seen the lights with a large group of people. She went home, And at home, she was walking into her bedroom, and she was sucked up against the ceiling of her bedroom. And she wakes up in her bed, fully clothed, and her husband jumps out of bed next to her and says, "Oh my God, I just had the worst nightmare. I was sucked up against the ceiling of the house." And they both realized at that moment that they had the same exact dream.
Yeah, it's wild.
And that was scary in and of itself, because it didn't feel like a dream to her. Then her daughter comes running in the bedroom and says, "Mom, Dad, where have you been for the last day and a half? We've been looking everywhere for you. I was about to call the police."
Mm-hmm.
So they were not home.
That's wild.
Yeah, and I'd love to go back and do regression therapy on people like this,
Mm-hmm.
because I think it would reveal what has happened beyond what just her experiences were right there and her husband's experience. And this might be something that's only happened once to them, but it could be something that happens all the time.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't know if they're having missing time or if they have some kind of screen memory.
Yeah.
That's really wild. Yeah, I would really suggest the regression. I think that's an excellent idea, actually.
I think if we do a follow-up film, it'll be, a lot of that type of stuff. And,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people are asking me to do a sequel
Mm-hmm.
In order to kind of follow the storyline. And I think I might, but I'm definitely interested in following, different areas of the world who have this similar phenomenon,
Mm-hmm.
like Hostel in Norway, or the Min Min Lights in Australia, or even the Marfa Lights of Texas. They're all over the world are similar occurrences of these types of lights, and it's not just at Brown Mountain, but Brown Mountain just happens to be a place that is accessible, that you or I or anybody can go to and actually experience this.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think we mentioned, or we've discussed before, the source, the power source behind these lights, and not sure if it's from this world or another parallel dimension, or have you ever found out any extra information on that?
Joshua P. Warren, who has researched this lights, is probably one of the leading paranormal experts on these lights specifically. He has done a lot of research. He brought a whole crew from National Geographic. They did a whole program on it. And they discovered that the lights were actually emitting an electromagnetic interference. Anytime the real lights were seen, it was almost as if it was a lightning strike, where the EMF band would go off the charts.
That's incredible.
Now that doesn't explain what they are, and he couldn't explain what they are. But his best guess was that it was plasma. It was a plasma-based energy force, because that's what similar EMF spikes are caused by plasma disturbances.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And what color were these again? These lights?
They change from red to orange to yellow to bright white.
Okay. Do they rotate in that on that level? I mean, do they rotate in that sequence?
They don't rotate. If you see one, it's usually pretty solid.
Okay.
But I've heard it might be just because of the mist cover or what might actually be in the air that night that changes it. But it's generally a very bright color, and it's bright. You can't miss it. If you're there, it's very hard to say this is not real.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And how large are these lights?
They can be about 9 feet.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty big.
And the ones that we saw that night were at least that size.
Nice.
A lot of the explanations are from scientists who come in and study these things and try to explain them away. Whatever field of science the scientist happens to study, he kind of comes up with his own makeshift explanation. Mm-hmm. And some scientists say it's ball lightning. Some say it's swamp gas. It's one thing for ball lightning to show up randomly. It's another for it show up in the same place over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've never heard of an occurrence of ball lightning chasing someone down the highway for miles.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I was interviewing a sheriff up in the mountains, and I was interviewing him specifically to have him appear in the movie. And I didn't know what I was going to really get out of him. It was just kind of going to be a background textural piece. Maybe he was going to be skeptical and not believe. Maybe he was going to, tell me a couple stories that he had heard. But what he told me was mind-blowing. So he had driven up to the Overlook, which is right off of Highway 181 in Morganton, North Carolina. And he drove up to the Overlook, and a giant orb placed itself almost above his cruiser. He, freaked out and tried to drive away from it. And the orb chased him down the highway at high speeds for miles. The next thing he remembers is waking up on the side of the road in his car, and it was daylight, a good 18 hours later.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
Yeah.
That's definitely under intelligent control, without a doubt.
Yeah, it was something that scared him to his core.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it might have been the first or second time he had shared this story, because he got freaked out afterwards and wouldn't sign our release form to actually use the story for the film.
Wow.
And I couldn't really blame him because, as a police officer, he's under a ton of scrutiny, and if his livelihood's at stake, I'm not going to pressure the guy into, telling a story that could end up getting him fired. It could end up losing his career.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah, what do you think is happening to these people during their missing time? That's what I find fascinating. That something obviously is happening when they're being what I would call inducted or abducted.
Yeah, I mean, some of these things are lucid. So people, the wildest stories are the lucid people from the area. There's a man named Ralph Lale. And Ralph Lale claimed that he would pack a lunch, and he was a kind of a mountain guy. He had a gem shop, and Ralph would pack a lunch and walk out into the woods and say, I'm going to visit my extraterrestrial friends. And he would be gone for like 2 weeks. And he would be just completely missing, gone for a couple weeks. He would come back and claim that he had been aboard ships and visiting other planets, and been, involved in scientific research with extraterrestrial life. Ralph was so interesting that he actually had what he claimed was the body of an extraterrestrial in the back of his shop. And if you expressed enough interest, or he just felt interesting that day, he would actually take people back there and show them this body. There are a few known pictures of it, and Joshua Warren happens to have one of those pictures up on his website. So if you look on Joshua Warren's website, the shots are up there.
Okay, so he's taken a photo, but has he actually been able to look at it or have it gone, take it to a lab or anything?
Ralph Lale died in 1980s, and his shop, as soon as he died, was bulldozed right to the ground, and no one has ever found this alien body.
That's interesting. Yeah, another little spin on the story.
It's always they, it's they did this. They bulldozed it. Who knows who that was who actually came in there and took down his place.
Mm-hmm, right. You said there was a military presence there.
Yeah.
Right. So is that a possibility that maybe they're the ones that are involved in damage control, so to speak?
I think it's highly possible that it is a military cover-up.
Mm-hmm. Certainly seems that way. Yeah. So I would suspect everybody should check out that website. That would be Joshua's website where they have the little extraterrestrial type.
Yeah, it's at joshuapwarren.com. I'm sure he still has the picked image up there, although I haven't looked at it in a bit. And his website tends to get a ton of traffic and then shut down suddenly. So if there are a bunch of people listening right now and they go check it out, it is likely that his site could crash on us.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a good heads up right there. So, it's interesting when you were talking about that woman who got kind of pinned to the wall. That almost sounds like a magnetized kind of a transmission, which there's just something about that whole anomaly which tells me that it's definitely a portal to some other dimension, perhaps.
It definitely could be, and that's a common occurrence. Is this this feeling that you've been transported to another place?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really wild. And didn't you not mention to me that there was? Go ahead.
Actually,
go ahead. Are you there? Oh no! Don't go. You're losing the signal there, Mister Matty.
Full details on that. I think it's just so interesting.
Okay, Matty, you were breaking up really bad there. I lost you for a few seconds.
Oh.
Yeah. Are you mobile? Are you moving?
I'm moving for a moment, so let me get to a spot that's a little better here.
Okay, I can hear you now. So.
Oh well, that's better. So let me just stay solid here.
Okay, yeah, you're phasing in and out. This is going to be one of those nights, I can tell. That's okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I'm glad you made the show. I was, my goodness. Well, at least you got your tire fixed, and that's good. It's always a pleasure to have you on, for sure.
Yeah, I'm usually pretty reliable. We should be good from here on out.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Well, good. Yeah, well, we were talking about the anomaly itself and what it could be, what it couldn't be, but it definitely sounds like a portal or some kind of a gateway to another dimension. Now, is there anything that's connected? I know that the Native Americans were very superstitious with the spirit world. So do you believe that it could be a doorway to another realm with maybe their ancestors?
I took my very close friend up there with me, who is a shaman, and he trained with the Caro natives in Peru, and that's when I really had seen the lights, was with him. And I'd gone back other times without him and hadn't had the same experience. So, I think his ability to kind of bring that out has that Native American connection and has that Native ancestral connection. And I mean, my experience was extremely positive there, and I just loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be very enlightening, if you ask me. Now, did he do a ceremony there, or did he just kind of what exactly did he do when he was there?
He was doing some energy clearance on myself and my wife, and just basic energy work and calling upon the spirits of the land, and they answered us.
Oh, nice. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really believe that it has a lot to do with the state of consciousness when you're encountering these other dimensional gateways or frequencies or anomalies or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest part. It reminds me of the Ark of the Covenant, where if you're not pure of heart or you're not ascended in consciousness to a certain degree, you're not able to receive the type of transmission that's really there.
Yeah. I mean, the first guy I talked to, who I'd worked with, he had received a ton of information about craft. He was actually attempting to blueprint out a new kind of aerodynamic aircraft. And I thought he was, completely nuts when I first met him. And now I think he really had something, because he never had this ability before. And the other people that I've spoken to and the amount of information I've been given now, I completely believe what happened to him.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, did he do anything with that blueprint?
No, he had a hard time. He was a little mentally disturbed. And the sweetest man ever, but had a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm sure he was switched on too after that experience, and that'll put him in a different orbit.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I know in the past we've talked about it possibly being connected to some kind of a directed energy weapon, but not necessarily that it's the weapon, but that it's been compromised by covert intelligence. What do you think?
Yeah, the Brown Mountain, the mountain range that it's on is connected to cave systems. And it's very well known that there are underground bases within the area. Military all over the place. And if there was some kind of plasma-based energy coming from there, I would think that the government theoretically would try and capture that for weaponry use.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ongoing energy source that could be militarized.
Right. Yeah. So you think they're actually studying it, or do you think they've actually had some success?
Man, that's so tough to say.
Mm-hmm.
The government we know has studied publicly the Brown Mountain Lights at least 3 separate times. Mm-hmm. Each time they've come up with unexplained. But Project Blue Book actually studied this. Project Blue Book, which most of your listeners probably know this, is in the 1950s, the U.S. Air Force it was basically a UFO debunker. Mm-hmm. They went out to try to disprove as much UFO phenomenon as possible. And this is one of the cases that there's very little information on. It just says unexplained.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm sure they have it classified to some extent somewhere.
Yeah, I'd love to try to dig through it and find what the real story was with the Brown Mountain Lights and the Project Blue Book. I mean, when the U.S. Air Force goes out to study something, they're pretty thorough.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And yeah, like I said, they always stake their territory too. I mean, they were always staking power spots. From what I've seen, that's kind of a pattern of covert military. So, whenever there's an anomaly, they want to be around to, do their thing, run their tests and experiments. Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm really glad that you were out there filming, though. And how long did it take for you to make this film?
Yeah, we took about 3 months, and we shot it all throughout the area where the real lights are seen. It was special being there for sure. Mm-hmm. And having the support of the community and everybody kind of rally around us.
I think that's awesome. And did you have anything suspicious happen to you all while you were there shooting the film?
Everyone had some funky things happen to them. My wife and producer Cathy was with 2 of the actors, and they had gone on a quick hike. And it was a desolated area. I mean, there was nothing around. And they saw what appeared to be like house lights. Okay. And it was, deep in the woods, some pretty redneck backwoods areas.
You sound like you're breaking up again there.
Are you having trouble hearing me?
Yeah, I am. You're just sounding really digital. You sound like you're breaking up. Are you still driving? Can you hear me? Hello? Where'd you go? I don't know if he's still there. Oh, call dropped. Hang on, you guys. It's going to be one of those really weird nights, but we'll get through it. So I'm going to try him back. Poor thing had a flat tire. See how dedicated my guests are? I apologize for all that weirdness, you guys. Skype's all hosed up, and I've got to get mine reset, so it's all jacked up. So just bear with us tonight. I'm going to try and call him back. He's probably getting a better signal. Hopefully. I do suggest you guys check out the film. And if you're out in that area, check out the Brown Mountain Lights. It sounds really cool. Hey, are you there?
Hey, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Oh, you sound better. All right. Go ahead. Say something.
I'm here.
Good. I just want to make sure I could hear you. So I know you were talking about, let's see, Cathy was hiking in the mountains and some strange things.
Yeah, Cathy was hiking throughout the mountains with two of our cast members, and they came across what they thought was a house in deep in the woods. And they all kind of commented to each other, said, "Oh, wow, look at that house." And suddenly the house started moving. And the house started moving on them, and they all kind of freaked out and sat there for a second. And one of the assistant directors went looking for them and came down, and they said, "Hey, John, did you see that house over there? And these lights start moving." And he said, "There is nothing around here for miles."
Wow.
I mean, we were deep in the woods, so there was no way there was anything there.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Did you ever go and take video of the house?
It had happened so quickly, and no one really was prepared for it.
Oh, bummer. That sounds really incredible. Well, it sounds like there are a lot of mysteries over there.
Yeah, I mean, the Appalachian Mountains are filled with folklore and amazing stories.
Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly. And what did the wildlife feel like there? I've heard stories where when you go to certain areas where there's a predator, whether it's an off-world species or something going on energetically, it's always dead. There's no wildlife. It's very quiet. How was the energetic over there?
I mean, there are bears all over the place in those mountains.
Okay.
And I have never seen one ever. And I've lived there since the 70s. So I'd never seen one. And until we started shooting this movie, I saw probably 4 or 5 different encounters with bears while we were up there.
Wow. Maybe they were looking for snacks.
I mean, I had never seen it before. I was surprised.
Yeah, no kidding. Did they get close?
Very close.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
And I actually have this great video of a mom and her cubs coming right up to us, and we were completely freaked out, of course. But
wow, that's unusual. Usually they're very defensive and protective.
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. Wow, and you never found your camera, right? Didn't you lose a camera?
We did. We actually, one of the scenes in the film, we launched a weather balloon into low Earth orbit. I had come up with this concept of the family actually, like the woman, being sucked up into space, and it was based on the concept from my interviews. And I didn't know if we could actually practically do this, but my director of photography had done a video where he had launched a GoPro camera into space. And amazingly, it just ended up working for the movie. And so we launched this camera, and it did not go well, by the way. The first 2 cameras we lost completely. The third one we did find, and it's actually in the film. So we have this amazing scene of them being taken up directly into a ship.
Cool. So you lost 2 cameras?
We lost 2. One was a failure of our GPS system. Mm-hmm. And I had this great satellite GPS system. I must have spent like $500 on it, and it was like the highest tech you can get, and that failed.
You think that was an interference?
I have no clue, but I finally, on the next one, we lost it because the balloon popped. We recovered the camera, but the balloon, it didn't go far. Mm-hmm. And the third one made it, and the GPS unit failed again. But what worked was an iPhone I put in it.
Oh, nice.
You ever do that? Find my iPhone?
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's how we recovered this thing. It was like a good 4-hour drive away from where we were.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I thought there was one that was missing that you actually were trying to find.
There is one missing. Still, it is deep, deep, deep in the Smoky Mountains on the Tennessee side of the North Carolina border. And I mean, I went hiking up there. I took a helicopter out looking for it. I hired 2 rangers to go find it. And I've said this before, but I offer $1,000 reward to anybody that finds my camera with that great footage on it.
Oh, wow. I bet Mr. Bear has it somewhere, huh?
It's somewhere. He's got a GoPro strapped to his cubs.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I'm saying that's just, well, at least you have the real good footage, but yeah, amazing, isn't it? But I'm wondering about that GPS system failure. It sounds almost like there was some kind of an interference being run on that.
You know, this was a GPS system that you could use in the middle of the ocean, purely like if you're in the worst spots in the world, the satellite will track you and find you. Mm-hmm. It was an expensive system, and it completely failed on us.
Right. And I believe when you guys were in communication, when you were filming, you used regular radios. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, our radios wouldn't work. And we weren't that far. It was just, we had some crazy interference happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was it all the time?
Constantly. You know, our radios refused to function. Our cell phones refused to function. We had trouble getting radio signals, even just regular terrestrial radio.
Wow. That's really interesting. What about your vehicles? You didn't have any problems with those, right?
You know, generally we were okay with our cars. But, you know, I know that in the past, in certain areas, my car has stalled for no reason. Mm-hmm. And it starts right back up. But, you know, what would cause it to stall all of a sudden?
Yeah, exactly. That reminds me of when I was on Maui. I don't know if you've been to the Hana Highway or not, or through that, but that's an interesting way to drive. And I had some interesting things happen to me with my car when I drove down that Hana Highway that everybody talks about. So, have you been to Maui?
I have not, and it's like one of those places that everyone goes, "You haven't? How could you?"
You need to get over there. You and Cathy should go.
Yeah,
definitely.
I need a vacation more than anyone on the planet right now.
Oh, definitely. You guys should go out there. And I mean, I'm telling you, it's very paranormal, very spiritual. You'd be amazed by all the anomalies out there. And of course, in Haleakala too, because there's a lot of talk about an off-world craft and species that interact. So a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I've got an interesting project coming up. I'm going to probably take a research crew out and check out Malibu. The underwater anomaly that's happening there.
Oh, right. Yeah. Fade to Black had that all promoted. Yeah, definitely. I believe he found that. Yeah, that's real interesting, isn't it?
That's with Jimmy Church.
Yep, absolutely. He's awesome. You know, what do you think it is? Because I was trying to check it out and I just don't know. What's your take on that?
You know, my take is let's send some cameras down there and find out.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I guess that wouldn't be a problem. Nobody would have any issue with that, would they? The government or anybody?
You know, if they do, it'll be telling.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. So when are you going to do that?
We're trying to set the pieces in motion right now.
Cool.
I don't know if Jimmy's going to get mad at me for even mentioning it, but we're just doing the initial phases of things right now, and he's pretty far along.
Good. Well, I think he kind of mentioned it on his show the other night, so I don't think he'd get upset.
Oh, maybe he probably did because he's got a lot of airtime to fill in.
Right, and I know mainstream's been trying to jump on it too. So definitely, if it's getting more mainstream attention, something's up, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I've got my family actually are friends with this group that have a massive research vessel with a lot of there's underwater rovers. Mm-hmm. There's deep sea rovers.
Oh, cool.
And this ship has been to the Titanic. It's been down in the Mariana Trench. It's done, serious research in the oceans.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And I'm hoping to get them involved to be a part of this.
So that's not Dr. Ballard's team, is it, or no?
No, it's called WAIT, WAIT.
Oh.
And it's the guy's last name. He's one of the founders of Gateway.
Excellent. Well, that sounds exciting. Now, keep me informed on that, would you? Love to have you back talking about that.
I definitely think it's going to be exciting to do.
Oh, yeah. No kidding. So did you make it home? You sound like you got home.
Yeah, I made it in my house, and I'm really happy that I have a solid signal, because I was concerned that I would lose you that whole time.
Me too. I'm really happy.
And I did. My concern was valid. So again.
Well, thank you once again for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. It was just like a week ago I was talking to you on Dark Matter Radio Network. So, yeah.
I feel like we're old friends.
I know. I definitely know. Yeah, I have a feeling I know you guys for sure. There's some kind of a soul thing going on there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a good thing. It must be that paranormal, mystical stuff.
Yeah, we all are drawn to each other.
Absolutely. Isn't it weird? I don't believe in coincidence at all, I swear.
I agree with you.
It's like that synchronicity that everything gets aligned, and it's quite amazing. So when I've asked you this before, but when someone wants to go out to these Brown Mountain Lights and actually have an experience, they don't need night vision cameras, right, to witness the lights?
No. I mean, it does enhance it. If you really want to bring some night vision, you can. But you can see it plain with your own eyes very easily. If you're trying to capture it on video, sure, bring some night vision.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
But thousands of people have seen this over hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is bigger than Roswell. I think this is bigger than Area 51, because people can just go out there any given day and see this phenomenon for themselves.
Exactly. And not only can they see it, they can actually feel it on a cosmic level, on a higher consciousness level, which is really cool.
Yeah. If you're connected like that, and if you're open to those types of experiences, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've told you I've got to get out there and check it out. Now, it'll probably be quiet when I get out there.
I doubt it. You're gonna end up on the ship.
Cool. I mean, if I am, I'll send you a little signal somewhere. Be like the bat signal. Now,
bring a camera. Bring a GoPro camera.
Oh, I will. Yeah, I'll bring a GoPro. That'll be great. Yeah. So funny. I was going to ask you about the children. I know in the movie there's a child that has autism. Can you elaborate a little bit on that storyline? That was actually based on a true story, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And for a second here, Matty, we're heading for a break. We'll be right back, everybody. Stay tuned. Ravenstar Switching Hour.